Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if post-4th war Naruto Highschool DxD. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Krishna Uzumaki and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Ambition could be a really big thing. Really, one was truly living a non-existent life if they don't have an ambition, a goal to look forward. If not, then they'd be just counting days, waiting for the sweet rest in the eternal slumber. Truly, ambition is a great thing. And for one Uzumaki Naruto, being Hokage was his dream, his ambition. It had been his dream from his childhood, even before the time he even really knew what the ninja life really entailed. The Kage was the title given to the strongest ninja in the village, something Naruto really aspired to become. Or more deeply, the acknowledgement one would get from becoming a Hokage, something Naruto was never allowed to have in his early childhood. Being the Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed fox had really brought forth a lot of negative attention to him, in the form of either glares and curses or outright indifference. Some treated him like a leper, others like a threat. Some outright ignored him. Much of his childhood was spent in pain and misery, about which he brooded over much in those days. Sometimes, those hateful eyes would become really overbearing for him. So he would cry. And cry he did for nearly 2 years. And then he had finally realized that crying really did not help change anything. So he went to work. Once, Sandaime Hokage, the third Hokage, the professor, or in Naruto's words just plain old man, had told him that the Hokage was the strongest shinobi of the village when he was telling the blonde on of his old exploits as a Jimin. People acknowledged you, the ninjas acknowledged you, and your village acknowledged you, and then you became the Hokage. The Hokage was the strongest in the village, its leader through thick and thin. One that protected the village at any cost. Naruto had taken that to the heart. So he made his goal to become the Hokage. If you became Hokage by their acknowledgement, surely, if you become Hokage people would acknowledge and respect you, right? After all, if 1 + 1 is equal to 2, then the reverse must also be true, right? He would laugh at such a thought now. Really. He had done it though. Becoming Hokage. He had pulled it out through sheer determination and will. He had fought against the army of Uchiha Madara. Lead the army of allied ninja village, defeated a literal goddess and saved the world, albeit with a little help from his friends. He had conquered his hatred and miraculously, the hatred of Kurama, the nine-tailed foxes too. All 9 of the Bijas were safely sealed inside of him after they chose to stay with Naruto post-war. Kurama did not mind extra companions, even though they were his siblings. Especially because they were his siblings. If it was anyone else, he would have blasted them to Kingdom Come with the biggest and meanest tailed beast bomb before they could even say sage. Uzumaki Naruto had brought back Uchiha Sasuke, the second member of Team 7, after he had gone rogue, fulfilling his promise to Sakura Haruno, the last member. He had ended the bitter feud between the 2 sons of the Sage of 6 Paths, which first started from the first 2 sons, Indra and Ashura, which had finally ended when Naruto, the last reincarnation of Ashura, defeated Uchiha Sasuke, the last reincarnation of Indra. Became the Hokage. He had saved the world from another 3 bastards. 1. Tsunerial Tsutsuki of the Moon and Mamashiki and Kinshiki, the demonic duo of Tsutsuki. Married Hinata Hyuga, one of the most seductively cute women of his time and the heiress of the Hyuga clan. So all in all, he'd been there, done that, and got to the cloak. He had a pretty darn good life if he does say so himself. Sadly, the years were not too kind for him. His family had passed on through generations. Boruto had become a wonderful man, one could say he was the second coming of Uchiha Itachi. Genius as fuck, with Uzumaki strength to boot. He had become the Anbu commander by 15, making him the youngest commander in history. He had married Uchiha Sarada and had a happy family. Emawari, his precious little Wari-chan, had grown up to be a beautiful woman. She had become a Junin by 16 and was now being groomed for the post of 10th Hokage after Sarada Uchiha would step down from the post. He did not know about others, but they sure as hell had made him proud. His wife had passed away at the ripe age of 91, leaving him alone. Naruto never forgot to visit her grave every day. So yeah, he was pretty tired of living. Now he was, weak and frail, laying on his bed, waiting for sweet embrace of death and waiting to be reunited with his love again. So then, why, did he find himself laying in an unfamiliar bed with a very pretty young girl beside him, laying on the same bed as him, buck naked as the day she had been born. For an instant, he had thought that Boruto had played a prank on him. He swore violently he would have words with the man if he went back to his habits again. Seriously, you do not give the elderly a heart attack with that kind of prank. He was faithful to his wife even in death, damn it. The other stray thought that had entered his mind was that she was his fangirl. He nearly snorted at the thought. His strength was world famous, though he was already past his prime and the world had soon forgot his battle prowess and he had become a fairy tale, a myth. He had long since gave up his ways of battle, being old did that. Looking around he found the room to be quite lavish. Pristine white walls and ceiling decorated with expensive paintings depicting battles and wars, not unlike those he had seen in the rooms of feudal lords, though the difference was noticeable. Those paintings did not have the quality that these ones seemed to have. Further inspecting the room, he found an elaborate crystal chandelier that hung in the center of the ceiling. Even though the light in the room was pretty low, provided by an equally beautiful table lamp beside him, he could see that the crystal were elaborately carved multifaceted crystals, which would refract light brilliantly. The bed he was sleeping on was king-sized redwood bed and was decorated with beautiful carvings of animals. The floor was covered with a mink soft purple carpet. A study table sat in the corner of the room, equally lavishly decorated. Naruto may not have been a materialistic person, but he did appreciate a state-of-art piece if he saw one. Though, he was pretty confused, one moment he had been asleep in his bed, the next he woke up in this place. He frowned. Any sensible person would know that this transition was exactly not normal. And Naruto was a shinobi, and an experienced one to boot. So decided to check on further, he got up. And was immediately surprised to see his young body. Last time he checked, he was a shriveled up old man. So one could pretty much say that Naruto was not amused by this development. Jinjutsu, he thought quickly. So like any sensible ninja, he went on for basic Jinjutsu cancelling technique. Chakra flaring. Jinjutsu was pretty much small chakra pockets inside your coils, which were positioned at calculated pattern to form a code, much like a binary code. When the code was sensible, it would produce a successful Jinjutsu. And the way to get rid of Jinjutsu was to either experience pain, which would jolt the system enough for the code to scramble, or to flare his chakra. So gathered his chakra into his core and flared. And flare he did. A large burst of shockwave blasted off from him. Floors and walls cracked, rubble floated across, and furnitures rumbled. A deep blue shimmer appeared around his body, signifying the leak of chakra. His attention soon turned towards the lady who was currently shrieking at the sudden dispel of his sleep. He frowned. So this was not a Jinjutsu. If not, then what is this? Or was it a stronger Jinjutsu? If it was, then the caster was apparently bought very good. For instance, his right arm was not supposed to be there. And even if it did, the Yang seal should also be. Naruto looked at the seal on his hand with a deep frown. The still there. A pasty white sun in his palm. Ah! What was that he heard the woman shout? He frowned. That was not what he was expecting. Even if she was an enemy or even a civilian, she should have recognized a chakra pulse. Looking at the woman huddled in the blankets, he frowned again. Sensing her emotions, he felt her surprise, nervousness and a slight tinge of fear. Deciding to get some answers, he decided to talk to her. "Do I know you, young lady?" he asked politely. The girl looked affronted and slightly angry. She was pretty average. Light purple hair, possibly dyed, a round face and brown eyes. She looked pretty toned. There was no distinguishing feature on her that would make her unique. "What do you mean, who am I? Don't you remember last night?" she asked heatedly. Naruto, still confused by the situation, was getting slightly irritated at the short-tempered girl. "I am sorry, I do not quite remember what happened last night. My memory must be quite hazy," he replied politely. Hinata, his late wife, was a sweet little wallflower. Though only he knew her viciousness when she was on about manners. He shuddered. Anko had nothing on her. So yes, he had learned manners. "So that's what you say to every girl that you bed? Pretend to have amnesia. That's pretty cheap even for you, Naruto." The girl shot back. Cheap? Did she think of him as womanizer who would bed any passing girl that caught his eyes? "Though that is to be expected from a playboy like you though. I really thought there was something between us. I'm leaving." They replied and began dressing up. Naruto remained quiet, not really knowing how to respond. "But before I go, what was that before?" she asked. Naruto, before replying, decided to check her chakra levels and to his astonishment, found just enough to barely sustain her body. Even a civilian had more chakra than that. "It's better not to concern yourself with that, young lady." He may have sounded rude, but it was better if he kept that information himself. "What do you mean by that?" she questioned rudely. "Whatever, it's not like I have any interest in that." She then promptly made herself scarce. He again found himself frowning deeply. What exactly was going on here? Whatever it was, it probably wasn't anything good. He needed info and answers. He checked the study table for anything significant. All he found were a couple of books and schoolbooks, which had one thing in common, Kuohai. Checking the nameplate, he found the name whoever it belonged to. And the name shocked him through his core. Setsuna Naruto. Naruto did not had any damn idea what the actual fuck was going on. Confusion and restlessness was getting better of him. What the hell was happening? What was this place? And more importantly, who was he? His heart pounded and his breathing quickened. He was hyperventilating. Calming himself slightly, he checked the table further. A slight tug on the right drawer revealed that it was locked. Ninja instincts kicked in and realized it was a good sign. Getting a long pin, he bent it into shape and tried picking the lock. After a few quick tries, it opened with a slight click. Pulling it open, he saw a lone diary sitting in there. He opened the diary slightly. The name confirmed it was really his diary. And so he read. Chapter 2. Next thing in the morning that Naruto did was go for a morning jog. Now, lots of people would be in a fit of hysteria if they find out that they have been transported in another dimension entirely. But not Naruto. He just decided to take a walk. Why, you ask? His answer would be because it clears my mind. And this therapy have been applied and has been approved. Ask anyone. Walking through the woods, he found a nice little clearing besides a stream. Sitting in a meditative position below a tree just besides the stream, Naruto went into his sealscape. He needed answers and he knew just the one who to ask for it. Naruto walked through the dank waterlogged hallways that made up his sealscape with a sense of purpose. More so interesting was the nature of the purpose. He had some serious suspicion, but he needed to confirm it. This whole shit had the name Kurama written all over it. One of the best things that had happened to Naruto was his friendship with the Nine Tails. Looking back, he had treated Kurama the same way the villagers had treated him in his younger years. With hatred and prejudice. He had assumed that since others hated Kurama, he should hate him too. And he did exactly that. He hated. And that was the biggest regret of his life. He had missed a whole lot just because of his denseness. Perhaps if he would have taken a bit calmer approach and tried to actually communicate with the nine-tailed furball, then maybe he would have gained a friend sooner. He could have been a confidant for him, one with whom he could share his deepest darkest secrets and insecurities. That did not mean he wanted to just use him. It was just that it would have been nice to have someone who you could trust your secrets to, especially in his childhood, where he did not had true friends, just acquaintances. Speaking of the furball, he had changed much since his more prickly self. The fox had become more mellow and fun-loving than he ever was. More than that, he had gained a sense of humor in making bad bathroom puns and a penchant for teriyaki. And rabbits. One must not forget rabbits. Idly, Naruto remembered one time when he and his furry partner had organized a prank on Kakashi. Suffice to say that when two devious foxy minds cook something up, it does not bode well for the target. Kakashi had to hide his neon green hair all that day, especially from Guy. The man had refused to remove his Hokage hat that day. Afterwards, Kakashi found out that the entire village supply of shampoos had gone missing. The copycat had panicked so hard, he refused to come out of his office or remove his hat. Naruto and Kurama had laughed all that day on the poor sap's misfortune. Ah, good times. Lost in the riviere of the past, he did not notice when he had reached the giant gold bars that was Kurama's place. More than that, Kurama had company now. His 8 brothers and sisters. When the Fourth World War ended, the Bijuas refused to leave his side, agreeing to live in the seal until death. The 9 Bijuas had all but demanded Naruto to agree, and Super Gramps was more than happy to let them stay with him. Looking at how much the seal had changed, filled Naruto with happiness. The place on the other side of the bars remained same, with dank hallways and drain pipes that littered the place. The place behind the cage had been changed into a landscape similar to Konoha, except the people in the houses, instead, it was a large grassy clearing. And lounging in the middle, basking in the sunlight was Kurama napping as usual. "Boy furball. Wake up." Naruto shouted. Seriously, the fox was epitome of lazy, aside from being destruction incarnate. The fox opened his eyes. Damn. Who the hell was screeching in the middle of his nap? He swore if Shukaku was filling up Asobu's lake just to annoy him again, he would greet that prick with a Bijuadama on his face. Opening his one red eye, he was greeted by the scowling visage of his human partner. Huh, what was up with him? Oh, it's you. What's up? That served to annoy Naruto further, Kurama realized. It was not so hard to notice if one had a vein node throbbing on his forehead. Don't what's up me you idiot. How the fuck are we here? Shouted Naruto right at his face. Huh. The fuck did he mean by that? We're here because of the seal, remember? Kurama replied lazily. Are you an idiot? Tone did not went unnoticed. The second thought, Naruto was an idiot. Was, as in past tense. Not that it made any difference. Don't be a smartass with me, Kurama. How the fuck did we reach another world? Naruto tried calmly again. He would not let his anger get the best of him. He wanted to solve this peacefully. Kurama looked mildly panicked. Damn it. I thought we had more time than that. Sweating nervously, he started shifting his eyes. About that you see it was Damn it Kurama, stop stuttering and answer. Kurama looked offended for some reason. Fine. We are here because I promised my old man that we would help him after you die, Kurama snapped angrily. Apparently the guardian of this dimension asked old man for help. Said it was gonna be destroyed by someone and needed to be saved. Old man agreed as long as few conditions were met. The Guardian had asked for the strongest of our world. That's why we are here. Kurama informed. Naruto felt a surge of palpable anger. Damn it. He was supposed to die and stay dead. He was supposed to be together with Hinata, lounging lazily and eating her hand-cooked food in the afterworld. He was not supposed to be in another damn dimension. When did you talk with him? He asked frigidly. Kurama felt full-fledged panic run through his body. Damn it. He should have let Naruto know that little piece of information before this happened. Right after your mate's death. Kurama's ears drooped in resignation at the inevitable verbal thrashing he would receive for this stunt. And when were you going to tell me? Naruto asked calmly. Kurama looked like a deer caught in headlights. Soon. He responded, half questioning his own answer. Naruto thought calmly about his situation. In one hand, he would miss Hinata's awesome cooking in the afterlife, not to forget the awesome kinky sex after that. He would be away from Hinata for sage knows how long. On the other hand, this world needed saving. And it seemed he was the only one who was chosen to do it. He sighed. For the first time in his life, Naruto cursed his kind heart. Rubbing the bridge of his nose with his thumb and forefinger, he looked at Kurama. Ugh. Fine. I will help. Tell the old man he owes me, big time in the afterlife. Naruto stated in resignation. Kurama visibly brightened up at his statement. He frowned seeing the blonde's longing face. Kurama felt a mild surge of budding regret. Boy. Cheer up. It will be like old times Yakno. We will stop the world from taking a shit and pound some ass, AA. His statement was punctuated by wiggling of his eyebrow. Naruto looked at Kurama with dryness that would have made Suna flooded. Your pun's worse than usual. Kurama looked affronted at the dismissal of his puns. They were hilarious. Stupid humans don't know how to appreciate good puns. He had his eyes closed and looked away in some bizarre form of a pout that looked very disturbing to Naruto. Back to the matter at hand, even if he had agreed for it, he still missed Hinata-chan. Looking away he frowned in longing. Kurama, I really miss Hinata-chan. Kurama looked at the blonde and sighed. He had planned this to be a surprise, but it seeing Naruto like that did not make Kyuubi feel good. Scratch that, it made him feel like a damn asshole. Say Naruto. Do you want to know those conditions I talked about? Yeah sure, whatever those conditions were, he'd rather be well informed than flying by the seat of his pants. Well, one of those conditions was that your family be brought here with you get me? Naruto's eyes widened at the obvious implications. Hinata. Hinata was here with him. He could bed together with his wife again. He could eat her delicious cooking and have kinkiest sex with her. Dazed, he dropped to his knees. His eyes dilated with shock. His body went unresponsive. Jaiuki, who recently arrived along with his other brothers and sisters, saw Naruto in his catatonic state, couldn't help but comment. I think you broke him, Kurama. Geez, you think the ever snarky Matatabi ribbed back at the sea cow. There, Ani-chan, the sweetheart Bijuuj, also known as Seiken the six-tailed slug, patted sympathetically on Naruto's back with her hand paw whatever, trying to console him. It will be alright. Naruto only stared blankly. XXXXXXXXX. After that little discussion with the Bijuus, now a more clearer Naruto, silently opened his eyes. Eyes which were bright orange and had a bar pupil, and orange pigmentation around it, signifying he was still in sage mode. Exhaling slowly, he gazed up towards the canopy. The filtered sun rays casted a vibrant glow in the clearing. Being in sage mode always gave him peace. A feeling of belonging that was absent for most of his life. He often used sage mode during his elder days, mostly for household works that demanded a bit more physical strength than he could normally offer. Other times, it was for this exact feeling. Sighing slowly, he thought about his current situation. Especially Hinata's situation. On one hand he was happy, ecstatic even. Hinata was here, alive. He was happy he could be with her again. Oh, how he wished he could be with her again in the past days. She was the love of his life. His heart and soul. She was the yin to his yang. She made him complete. He would pay any price just to be with her, except his life, because he wanted to spend his life with her. He would tear the world asunder if it meant he could just catch a glimpse of her. She is his princess, his queen. He wanted to hold her again. He wanted to kiss her till the days ended. He wanted to sleep and cuddle with her. He wanted to whisper sweet nothings in her ears till she would blush. He wanted to braid her silky hair. He wanted to see the love and adoration for him in her pupilless lavender eyes. He wanted to love her till she moaned and screamed his name in absolute pleasure. He wanted to grow old and die in his arms. He wanted to be with her. He needed her. He was happy that he had a chance to be with her again. Very happy. On the other hand, he was worried sick. Where was she? How was she? Was she okay? How was she doing? Did she find someone else? Did she move on? All these questions assaulted his mind. Part of him denied that she could move on. She was Hinata for Sage's sake. She had waited for him practically for half of her entire life. He was sure she would continue loving him even here. She loved him and wait for him. Yet, the other part could not discard the chances of his doubts holding true. And it scared him a lot. Just imagining her being with someone else made his heart ache and his stomach drop. Emotions ran rampant as he struggled to gain control. Calming his rapidly beating heart, he decided not to focus on anything other than Hinata. Clutching his fist, he tried to feel the sage chakra running through his body. Feeling the low but strong and powerful thrumming just below his skin gave him reassurance that Mother Nature still had not left him alone. Glancing around, he found quite a gathering of wild creatures around himself. Was that a snake and a mouse huddled together? Strange. That never happened before in the elemental nations. Frowning, he dug deeper into the very core of the natural energy and instantly became aware what exactly was the root of the problem. Hatred. Pure, unadulterated rage and hatred. The natural energy was tainted with it. With the problem also came the cause. Mother Nature was dying. The cause? Humans. They were killing her. So she raged. Visions assaulted him. Visions of animals being slaughtered mercilessly. Visions of entire forests being cleared of natural life, replaced by ever-growing structures of steel and concrete, of thousands of kilos of smoke released in the atmosphere, of millions of liters of toxic waste being dumped in the rivers, of tons of waste dumped in the ocean. Of marine life suffocating in their homes, of creatures fearing their existence in their own domain. Of entire species being extinct. The gravity of the situation hammered on his shoulders with the force of a Bijudama, collapsing him to his knees. His appearance went feral, whisker marks darkened, and his black misama of hatred was released from every pore of his body. Gritting his teeth, the struggle to regain control. With just a bare grasp of control, he let go of the sage chakra. The effect was immediate. The hatred faded and he was suddenly left gasping for breath with the sudden loss of strength. Naruto frowned deeply. This was not good. A whole planet dying was never good. The poor creatures had probably sensed the calmness of the place when he had taken the hatred away, and that was why they flocked him. They had felt a sense of security in his vicinity because he had absorbed the hatred and rage along with natural energy. Naruto could not imagine if someone had to live in the fear their whole life. Be it animals or humans. In this dire situation, he could only do one thing. He would have to absorb the hatred of nature. Commanding the six-path sage chakra, he was quickly covered in a glowing golden aura. The t-shirt and the shorts he wore was painted black. Arcane lines and seals appeared over his body. A bright golden open cloak came into existence and garbed itself over his shoulders. Golden Magatama beads appeared in the cuff of his neck, surrounding him like a necklace. 10 floating black balls appeared behind him in a circular formation. One of the ball transformed into a shakugan that he grabbed with his left hand. Breathing deeply, they absorbed the natural energy in huge amount and directed it towards his yang seal. The seal filtered the rage and hatred from the natural energy and released it back in its original place. The effect was instantaneous and the world exploded in colors and vibrance. XXXXXXXX. The earth was having a very strange day and not in the bad sense. The dull world had suddenly gained extreme vibrancy. Animals danced happily all over the world as if celebrating an auspicious festivals. The researchers of Serengeti grasslands were baffled when a monkey danced on top of a crocodile, with the crocodile wagging his tail and wiggling his body in an unheard rhythm. The trees were rapidly growing, gaining meters of height in minutes. Flowers bloomed all over the world. Birds flew around in aerial shows that would make an experienced show pilot cringe in jealousy. That day, predators and prey became one as they danced together in happiness. The animals were not the only ones experiencing the profound effect. Humans were not an exception to this. All over the world, people cracked smiles as a strange happiness blossomed in their hearts. Mortal enemies became brothers. The previously frowning and upset people cracked smiles as if they had somehow gained their happiness back. In Africa, the people we were currently living on razor's edge, oppressed by terrorists, suddenly felt overflowing hope blooming in their heart. In the same continent, in the rainforest of Nigeria, a hunter suddenly dropped his gun, which was previously aiming at an elephant. He looked at his hands in disgust, as if they had been doing the worst possible crimes against himself. People felt happy for no apparent reason. Previously strangers quickly became long-lost friends. Even though it was the earth that was affected, the underworld and the heaven was no exception. Surzich's Lucifer, one of the current 4 great Mau, looked outside his office towards the sun when he experienced a surge of happiness. He suddenly felt as if a great weight had been lifted off his shoulder. As a leader of the devil faction, he should have treated this odd surge as a threat to be taken seriously. Whoever had enough power to bring about such an effect must have to be powerful, very powerful. Brafia, I want Serafol and Falbium on this, pronto. Arrange meeting between us. We shall personally investigate this odd power surge. See to it that they respond in the earnest. This power feels too much like his with the orders issued to his trusted mate and wife. He calmly gazed at the now more serene landscape of Underworld. Lucifer was extremely concerned at the new player they inserted Idolf into this game. What would happen next was yet to be seen. Even though there was trepidation of this new piece on the board, it did not stop the red-haired Lucifer from cracking a grin. Heaven was suddenly bustling with activity as the surge permeated the levels of paradise. The angels suddenly found themselves singing and dancing happily for no apparent reason. Gabriel the 12-winged seraph was running towards the 7th level of heaven, towards her brother's office. Michael. Michael. Father is back, Michael. Gabriel shouted as she approached the leader of the angels. Can you feel that, Michael? Can you feel it? The world is rejoicing. Father is back, Michael. Father is back. The busty seraph exclaimed at her brother, tears of bliss streaming down her eyes as she struggled to contain her emotions. Calm down, Gabriel. Yes, I can feel it. The world is rejoicing, but maybe not because of Father. Michael said to his sister as much as to himself. Gabriel was too lost to register her brother's words. Though I do wonder who can have such an effect. Father is back, Father is back. Gabriel continued to sing, oblivious to the uncharacteristic frown on Michael's face. But we shall see, dear sister, we shall see. XXXXXXXXX. The six-path sage mode was the most awesome power one could have ever have, at least in Naruto's opinion. Comparing what he felt in that mode, it was probably not too far-fetched. In this mode, the world was him and he was the world. Nothing could be hid from his sight. He could feel every nook, cranny and crevice. The world was not a stranger anymore. He could see the fishes deep in the ocean, feel the water that skimmed past them, and the ripples that they created. He could feel the hawk drifting in the sky and the wind that rushed past it as it took the might of the sky to propel itself. He could feel the centipede that lived deep inside the soil and how the earth gave it passage and home. He could feel every living creature on earth. He could feel everything. And beyond. He could feel the power of the Colisping star thousands of light years away and the mighty shockwaves it created throughout the darkness of space. He could feel the all-destroying heat of the burning stars, the engines that kept the universe moving. He could feel the budding heat of newborn stars in the wombs of nebulas. He could feel the edges of black holes, how their sheer might could devour even the tiny atoms of everything. He could feel the universe, and it was his domain. In that moment, he everything, yet he was nothing, he was zero, he was infinity. Naruto Uzumaki, in this form, was truly a god. His omniscience superseded everything present. And most above all, he could sense the emotions of people. And what he felt disturbed him greatly. Murders, rape and other crimes ran rampant. He could feel the despair of people, the hopelessness of them. He could feel what they could feel, and it brought him to his knees. So much suffering. Naruto had assumed that this world was in peace and prosperity. That people were happy and thriving. Clearly, he was wrong. The world was suffering, its people were suffering. And the mother of them all was suffering. The elemental nation suffered, yes, but not to this extent. The victims there were granted swift deaths, but here they were dying slowly, agonizingly slowly. Their pain rained down on him, entrenching him in their suffering, yet he endured. He endured till the natural energy was all purged from the taint of hatred. Hastily releasing his grip on his chakra, Naruto breathed raggedly. With his own exhaustion of using two of his stronger forms, he did not realize when small rivulets of warm tears sprang up in his eyes until two of them managed to get dropped on his hands that were firmly on the ground. Bringing his fingers to his cheeks, he realized that those tears were not of his own, but of those whose suffering he had just felt. Sighing, he brought his fingers to his cheeks and flicked it away. Getting up on his feet, he looked around and realized that the animals still flocked around him. He also noticed that those animals also treated him like one of their own. A little fox kit that was with a group of his own, he could only guess it was his family. The little kit trotted towards him, curiosity getting better of him. His pack watched the kid go, with what he could glean was amusement in their eyes. The kid sniffed around his legs for a moment before it yipped happily. He could only watch on as the kid trotted away to its family and what it seemed to yip something at them. The larger of the foxes, who seemed to be the father, gave the kid a small nod. The kid cheered for a moment before it yipped happily and strutted towards him and gave a series of yip. Naruto looked at the kid curiously before he gazed towards the pack that watched him expectantly. Naruto understood. "You want to go with me?" he asked the kid. "Yip yip." The kid barked at him before nuzzling its snout at his hand. "Are you sure? You got a family here," he said to the kid. The kid looked at its family one last time before it gave him a determined nod. Naruto smiled at it before picking the kid in his arms. It squealed before making itself comfortable on his shoulder, snaking itself across his shoulders and lovingly nuzzling its snout in the crook of his neck, tickling Naruto. Well, aren't you a cute one, eh? Fine then, let's go. The Fox family watched their retreating backs before the father gave a sigh. Ah, they grow up so fast, don't they? After that brief bout of jog that led him to discovery of whatever was wrong with this world and a new friend, the later day of Naruto was spent by either planning to build a forge and sealing chambers or playing with Saya, as he had aptly named the little kid after he found out it was in fact a she. The little kid had taken a liking to the name, if her yipping and squealing was taken into account. She also had to be oriented to her new house and the working members. The workers of the house had taken an instant shine to her, especially the females, who were squealing she was cute and proceeded to hug her in their bosom. Then came introducing Saya to her new home. It was surprising for Naruto when Saya understood everything Naruto said and followed his letters to the T, especially when she adamantly refused to use litter box, rather choosing to use toilet. She even knew how to flush for Sage's sake. But considering the relatively large amount of chakra in her, he should not be surprised. She was a yokai after all. Naruto worked up till late night, forming designs for the sealing chamber, which needed a lot of calculations and technical knowledge to be applied. Symmetry, algebra and calculus proved to be the most useful tools in his box. After that lot of hard work, he had a rather simple dinner of some steamed rice and miso soup with some meat curry and went to rest. Saya had taken Naruto's chest as her personal bed, much to his amusement. Naruto had responded by covering themselves with a blanket. Feeling a bit uncomfortable, the vulpine female immediately poked her head out of the blanket and proceeded to give Naruto what could only be considered as the fox version of pout. Naruto laughed and ruffled her head. Saya squealed and curled up on his chest again, this time keeping her head outside the blanket and her rest of the body inside the covers. Soon, both the human and the vulpine were soundly in sleep, both snoring quietly. Next day, he was greeted by a large squeal in the morning. Naruto's ninja instincts kicked in and he immediately bolted out of the bed and proceeded to grab the offender by the nape of her neck and a knife to her throat. The poor girl was mortified with fear, her skin went pale. Recognizing the girl as one of the maids, judging by the maid dress she wore, Naruto lowered down the knife and sighed in relief. "You scared me, Irie." The maid named Irie was a woman of her late teens, pinkish pale skin, brown hair and black eyes, busty and had a good figure. She had been admitted in as a maid in Satsunakuo Mansion as a maid about 3 years ago. The terrified girl collapsed on her knees when she realized that she was inches away from her death. Naruto, hoping to not make the situation more awkward, offered his hat. "Thank the gods you're not hurt." Grabbing her hand, Naruto pulled the young woman on her legs. He peered into her eyes with a gentle smile and said, "Don't scare me like that again, okay?" Poor Irie just wanted to wake her master up. And saw him with Saya curled in his chest and squealed in delight at the cute scene. She had not expected to have a near-death encounter. But the smile Naruto gave he made her blush. She nodded hastily. "So, what did you need?" Naruto figured it was better than beating around the bush. "I just wanted tea to wake you up for breakfast, master," she answered in sutters. Naruto sighed and cursed his reaction sense. Even though he had been retired for 17 years before he died, the cultivated instincts of a ninja was not something that can be brushed aside so easily. "Oh, okay. Anyways, why don't you go downstairs? I will follow you after," he stated before turning away. The terrified woman nodded hastily, wanting to get away from her master as soon as possible. She began walking away shakily. "And Irie?" Her master's voice froze Irie right on the way. Terrified, she closed her eyes and stood still. "Do not tell anyone what happened here, alright?" Irie nodded hastily, without turning around. She waited for Naruto if he wanted to add something more. Taking the silence as a cue to leave, the girl ran away as fast as possible. Naruto sighed as the Irie ran away. Damn. That was too close. He cannot let anyone about himself so soon. He turned around to see Saya giving him a look that asked what was that about. He sighed and replied instincts. "Don't worry about it." Saya gave a shrug and yawned. She figured it as a weird trait of him. Curling up in a ball she went to sleep again. Naruto left her alone and went to do his morning rituals. Naruto trudged down the stairs lazily. He was greeted by the head butler Tetsuo Uchiha and was offered breakfast. He muttered a quick thank you and began his breakfast. Idly, he began to think about the design of the sealing chambers. Sealing was one of the first art he took after retirement. Usually, he tended to his garden, which was his favorite hobby, but practicing Fuin Jutsu became a close second. He had also taken up art, music and blacksmithing, but Fuin Jutsu was something he had taken up as fish to water. His seals were quite a rarity, and it was not too often that he created seals for commercial purposes. He often created seals only for his own personal use, for his family or his friends. The seals he made for commercial purposes were either security seals or storage seal. His seals were very high in quality, so they were in popular demand. Considering their rarity, his seals usually costed high. Seal masters and collectors paid exorbitant prices just to get a piece of it. Consequently, Naruto's seals brought a lot of fame and money to his village. He also had taken up blacksmithing to honor his friend Tenten, who herself was a great blacksmith and a weapon user. He used sealing in conjuncture with weapons. Combined with his blacksmithing, those seal-enhanced weapons brought billions. Hidden Leaf boasted a legendary seal master and had become the fastest growing economy thanks to his seals. He became a celebrated seal master whose rival was none. Part of his success of Fuiin Jutsu was attributed to the tools he used. His ink was handmade by himself from the woods he created from his mokuton, though the process of creating the ink was tough, very tough. Creating ink from wood itself was tough. The commonly used for Fuiin Jutsu were extracted ink squids or through chemical processes. Naruto was not fond of it. So he decided to devise his own method of ink production. Naruto was the only one who could do it. The ink conducted chakra flawlessly, its density and water-to-ink ratio had to very proper. He had to be very careful in the process. Chakra infused in was very dangerous. The brushes he used were made from his own lock of hair. He had cultivated his hair specifically for that purpose. Channeling chakra in his scalp and hair follicles was a massive pain. The results paid off though. His hair had grown smoother, finer and stronger. With his tools, any errors originating from defunct tools were pretty much non-existent. Though he did not use seals commercially, he did produce some for training the future generations. Those seals were compartmentalized inside the village and were used strictly by academy instructors and Jumnin instructors. He had taken preventive measures to keep those seals inside the village. The Hellbase Division, Hidden Leaf Barrier Security, had been very happy with the Ain's seal security protocols he had created. He was mused from his thoughts when a hand tapped his shoulder gently. "Master, do you know what happened to Irie?" "Ah, Tetsuo." He must have noticed Irie's frazzled up state when she had returned to the kitchen. Irie must have refused to say anything about the incident. Sadly, that meant he had to be the one to give an explanation. Though what should he say? So many options to choose from. Decisions. "Ah, she saw me naked." Naruto replied, mouthing another piece of egg with his chopsticks. Though Tetsuo did not know how to reply to that statement. Even though he was a simple man, he was not stupid. But that doesn't explain why she was so scared. "Ah, I had a morning wood." Tetsuo looked mortified. A maid had seen Master in such a shameful state. She must have been deathly afraid of consequences, and she should be. Master should be protected against everything. Even shameful embarrassment. Though it was very curious. Was young Master really that big? Back in the kitchen, an eavesdropping Irie flushed red. Whatever her master had done was strange and dangerous, but he shouldn't have made such an embarrassing excuse. Though unknown to her, she had started developing a sense of familiarity with her master, a feeling of certain closeness that she was not expect nor knew of. Glaring at her master from the corner of the kitchen sill, she puffed up her cheeks in righteous anger, which soon turned into a wide-eyed embarrassment as Naruto looked towards her and gave a slight snicker. She quickly hid behind the wall and put her hand on her beating chest. What was happening with her? Why was her heart beating so loudly? Why did she feel so fuzzy in her stomach when she looked at her master just now? Unable to comprehend her feelings, she decided to leave it be and shakily went to wash up the dishes. Naruto continued to eat his breakfast, amusement dancing in his eyes. Ah. Young children, so easy to mess with. Ah. Master, you should hurry, your school starts at 9. Tetsuo's voice broke him out of his amusement. He glanced at the wall clock and noticed it was 8 already. Nodding slightly, he proceeded to finish his breakfast before moving upstairs. He grabbed his uniform from the wardrobe, which consisted of a white-black striped button-up shirt, a pair of black pants, and a black blazer with white accents, a black collar ribbon and brown dress shoes. Naruto frowned at the uniform, finding it too plain for his tastes. It did not have orange, damn it. He looked towards Saya and found her giving a look of disapproval at the uniform. Regardless, he put the uniform on and checked himself in the mirror. He immediately found himself disliking it. With quick hinge application, he modified his uniform. It consisted of a burnt orange t-shirt with a white spiral underneath the uniform shirt and the blazer, both open, and a white overcoat with flame accent on the bottom and 7th Fire Shadow written proudly in the back in kanji. His shoes were replaced with open-toed black ninja sandals, and his pants were black taped from his knees. A metal plate with the Leaf Village symbol was stitched on the cloak, right where his heart was. The rest of it stayed pretty much the same. He turned around and saw the vixen giving her approval. Smiling smugly at his accomplishment of impressing her, he grabbed his backpack and proceeded to exit, with Saya following closely behind. The car was waiting for Naruto to drop him school. The chauffeur opened the door for him to enter when an agitated Tetsuo came fussing over his dress, stating that the heir of the company should look prim and proper. Naruto did not give a damn. He outright refused to change up and stated that he had no desire to change his dress up, regardless what others would think. It was his choice, damn it. After calming down Tetsuo, he then had to convince Saya to stay at home when he was at school. He failed. Spectacularly so. The stubborn fox had refused to let go of Naruto's shoulders, nipping anyone who wanted to remove her. Exasperated, he gave in to her demands, grumbling about troublesome vixens. After the saying goodbye to a troubled Tetsuo, the car finally moved and before he knew it, Kuo Academy was in sight. The chauffeur parked the car near the gate and opened up his door for him. Naruto was thankful. The less he had to deal with the modern marvels, the better. Saya had again taken his shoulders as her couch. The wind blew past him and his coat flapped and the fire pattern gave an impression of burning fire, licking at the edges of the overcoat. Combined with his impressive physique and bright blonde hair, it gave a very imposing and attractive impression on the onlookers. His style of dress-up garnered him many looks, particularly from the females, which were of adoration and attraction. Saya growled furiously. Naruto chuckled at her. He drank the side of the school building with awe. Naruto had never seen something so sophisticated at such a grand scale. The main building was of a Victorian design, 3-storied building. The center of the building was a jutted block with a higher roof, which he suspected housed staff rooms and the principal's office. The building continued from either sides of the block, which were classrooms. The roof corners and windows were arched and spired, which gave the building its Victorian look. The faded magenta paint complemented it perfectly. In terms of complexity and architecture, the architect had done a marvelous job. He silently trudged forward, with his overcoat silently bellowing in the wind. It was pretty chilly. The student masses flocked the courtyard of the school, doing pre-class shenanigans, having fun. Nostalgia hit Naruto as he remembered the first day of his academy days in Hidden Leaf. He stopped mid-step and stiffened. He could feel her. He never did forget how she felt. Even if they had been separated for 17 years, he could never forget. The wind carried a faint smell of lilacs and lavender, with a hint of cinnamon, Hinata's favorite. His heartbeat increased furiously. His eyes searched frantically for the familiar face. And then he saw her. She was there, sitting below the sakura tree in full bloom. Her mouth was parted open and her eyes were wide. He could see the tears silently trickling down her eyes. His backpack dropped. His feet carried him towards her with agonizing slowness. They felt weak. With the pace of a slug, his legs regained strength and he rushed towards her. She responded by immediately bolting toward him. They met halfway and Hinata immediately jumped in his arms, her legs wrapping around his hips and her hands around his neck as she captured him in a furious kiss. After an intense kissing session, Hinata broke the kiss and began showering his face with kisses. Naruto-kun kiss. Your kiss. Really kiss Heracus. She muttered to him between the kisses. Naruto never believed he could hear any music sweeter than her voice. His legs gave away and he fell, Hinata still straddling his hips. She again caught him in a lip lock for a minute before touching his forehead with hers. She gave him a watery smile before whispering. I missed you. He never noticed when she had began leaking tears as he gave his own smile. I missed you too, Hinata Haim. Hinata's eyes widened at the affectionate nickname before she hugged him, snuggling her face in the crook of his neck. Naruto absently began to stroke her hair. Oh, how much he missed her feeling. For the first time in many long years, he felt content. Both stayed like that for moments, just enjoying each other's company silently. Naruto peered his eyes open to see the students gaping at him dumbly. Feeling a bit uncomfortable at their stare, he tried to get up before Hinata stopped him. Don't go, please. Her pleading voice gave him the distinct impression that she had been crying. She must have longed for him as much as he did for her. Smiling to himself, he clutched her tighter and felt her relax. He rubbed her back soothingly before whispering in her ears. SHH. It's okay, I'm here. Some of the students that watched the happenings had teared up at the display of affection, particularly the female populations. They had given the feeling of a long-awaited reunion after a tragic separation, a classic romance, never even having an ounce of clue to how close to home they were. The rest of the population were either watching jealously at either Hinata or Naruto. After several moments of shedding tears of happiness and relief, Hinata finally moved to get off him. Swiftly getting of his feet, he regained his footing and leaned closer towards her and cupped her cheeks in both of his palms. Let me get a look at you. He inspected her closely and smiled. You're as beautiful as ever, Haim. Hinata smiled as closed her eyes before nodding tearfully. He rubbed her tears off with his thumbs. Hey, don't cry, it doesn't suit you, K. I was so scared when why you did not recognize me before Naruto-kun. Naruto's face softened up as his heart pained with her words. He pulled her closer to him in a hug. SSH, it's okay, I'm here. Hinata continued to struggle with her tears, soaking his blazer. Naruto felt like a jerk, even though it was not his fault. His counterpart must not have denied her recognition, even though it was true. He hated himself for making her wait for so long. He began to stroke circles in her back again. I'm here now. So what do you say, Hinata, want to make ramen for me tonight? Hinata smiled tearfully before he felt her nodding in his shoulders. And then some hot kinky sex after, eh? His whisper earned him a giggle and a light slap on his chest from the beauty, but she nodded nonetheless. Separating himself from her, he hooked her arm in hers. Hinata squeezed herself on his arm, hugging it to her bosom. He was about to turn around before he was punched in the face, which sent him sprawling on the ground. The fuck was that for Dadabeo? He screamed on the face of the attacker, eyes closed and nursing the bump on his cheek. It was very interesting to see the bump losing mass rapidly, turning normal in no time. You're late, loser. That voice. Opening his eyes, he was greeted by a familiar face. Black hair, inky black eye, round face and a one eye hidden by his hair, hit the familiar face of Uchiha Sasuke. Grinning lopsidedly, he replied. I got lost on the road of life, bastard. Sasuke seemed annoyed by the Kakashi-like reply. PCH. Annoying as ever. He grunted out. You know you love me. Naruto replied, grinning like a fox. Beside him, Hinata giggled. He looked aside and found one Sakura Haruno, a bubblegum pink-haired emerald-eyed girl, looking thoroughly annoyed. He ignored the signs of brewing trouble. Hi Sakura-chan. He greeted loudly. Sakura responded by knocking his head with her fist. You're late, you idiot. Geez, calm down Sakura-chan. It wasn't my fault, Yakuno, Naruto said poignantly. Sakura took a moment before calming herself down and sighed. He was right, it wasn't his fault. She smiled at him. So how are you, Naruto? She asked. Ah well, now that I'm back here with you all, I feel great. He answered back, pulling Hinata with one arm. She responded by snuggling closer to him. Hinata wished she did not have to let go of his any second longer. Waiting for her husband for 17 years had been as tiring as it was painful. Feeling his strong arm around her, she felt very cozy and comfortable. So she did not want to let go. Picking up backpack, he noticed Saya guarding his backpack. And for some reason, she looked very upset. Hey girl, sorry about that nah. He said, the vixen who seemed to accept it solemnly. For what reason, he did not know. He picked her up and introduced her to Hinata. Saya, meet Hinata Hyuga, Mijil friend. Said Fox looked at her distrustfully. The little kid took a moment to sniff Hinata before thinking for a moment and jumped into her arms, squealing. Deciding to introduce her to the rest of them, he grabbed Saya's attention. You see, black-haired guy, he's Sasuke. He's a jerk and also my brother. Sasuke seemed to be offended at the jerk comment but gently patted the vixen on the head. She seemed to accept his touch and nuzzled into his palm. And this pink-haired lady is Sakura Haruno, my sister. She kinda has a temper on her, but she is nice. Sakura puffed her cheeks in anger at Naruto's comment and went to greet the little vixen. Saya sniffed and jumped from Hinata onto her, snuggling in her arms. Sakura beamed. She also noticed how happy Hinata was right now. When she and Sasuke had first met Hinata in this world, she was a depressed and shelled being. A missing Naruto must have felt like losing a pillar of life to her, she deduced. A very long time, Hinata had been upset and depressed. She rarely opened up to anyone, even her own family. Many sought her companionship and friendship, but she had turned down all. Those who tried force themselves on her were met by a brutal beatdown. Sakura, Sasuke or Hinata herself. Rumor has it that one day a man tried to grope her on a train. Hinata had given him a so severe thrashing, especially in the nether regions, that the man had to have his testicles removed lest he suffered more danger of infection. Either way, his days of having sex was over. The man, with his manhood destroyed, had fled and was never seen in Kuo ever again. One of the reasons why the school was gaping at Naruto. Anyways, classes start in 7 minutes, let's move, lest we get late. Sasuke informed everyone. Speaking of room, which class are you guys in? Naruto asked the other three. Room 3B, Sakura decided to reply. Cool, that means we're in the same class. Isn't that cool, Hinata-chan? I get to sit next to you the whole day. Naruto exclaimed. Sasuke smirked, Hinata and Sakura giggled. Naruto remained clueless about the joke. Huh, what's so funny? Just follow us, Sasuke ordered casually. The four of them were seated together on the first row. Hinata sat in the corner, next to Naruto and Sakura next to him, followed by Sasuke. The annoying banter and chitter-chatter continued in full volume. Naruto was chatting with Hinata, both holding hands romantically. Sakura had taken Sasuke's shoulder as a pillow and was taking an impromptu nap. Sasuke, who still was not used to showing his feelings in public, was blushing, glancing at the sleeping face of Sakura every now and then. The door to the class opened and in came the teacher. Pale blonde hair, tied up two loose ponytails, honey brown eyes, a very large bust was her appearance. She wore a white black striped blouse and loose green pants, along with a pale green haori with a kanji of gambler on the back. The most distinguishing feature was the green-colored diamond-shaped mark that rested on her forehead. Naruto gaped. Tsunade Senju continued walked over to her desk. The class stood up to greet her. Naruto kept gaping. Tsunade noticed. "Shut your mouth or flies are gonna get in, brat," she commanded, still snarky as ever. His mouth opened and closed in an effort to say something, but no sound came out. Sakura and Hinata giggled. Sasuke was trying to suppress his snickers. Naruto's mind, which was unable to conjure a response, settled for a shout. "Granny Tsunade." This time the other three were openly laughing. Sasuke was holding the sides of his stomach, mumbling, "Did you see his face? Oh god." Before laughing again. Tsunade was ticked. "I told you not to call me that. You brat." Tsunade punctuated with a hard punch on Naruto's head that sent him into the wall. 17 years and he still had not learned manners yet. She snorted in mock anger. Slowly peeling himself away from the body-shaped dent in the wall, Naruto sent a fond gaze towards her. "Is that any way to greet you, godson, after so long?" he asked with a slight smile. This time, the class gaped. "Godson?" Tsunade's face softened as she smiled back. No, it's not." Slowly, she walked towards him before embracing him in a hug and buried her face in his hair. She did not want to show her crying face to her students. "I'm happy to see you, son." Despite his face being hidden from view, they could feel Naruto's smile. "Me too, mom." Tsunade stiffened before her tears increased. "Why, you ask?" Because Naruto had accepted her as his mother. Tsunade never had a child. Despite being one of the most attractive females, she never did marry. After Dan Kato had died, she had closed her heart off to everyone else. Jiraiya had tried so hard to make her reciprocate his love, but she did not take it seriously and his love remained unrequited. So she never had a child. The only one who came close to being her son was Naruto. Being called a mother was undoubtedly the best feeling she had ever experienced. Wiping her tears, she nodded to Naruto. She reached behind her neck with her hand and brought out a very familiar necklace. "I believe this belongs to you." Naruto looked surprised, but that necklace had been destroyed during Pain's attack. "How?" Naruto asked. "I had Grandpa remake it," she replied. "Oh, so that's how it was." Despite looking like an ordinary emerald pendant, the gem of the necklace was very special. It had been imbued with Hashirama Senju's chakra, which had healing properties. Hence, the wearer would get enhanced healing as a result, not the kind Naruto had that could heal even a stab to the heart, but still above the average. The necklace was one of a kind and was nearly estimated to be a value of 3 mountains of gold. But to Naruto, it was invaluable. Tsunade gently tied the pendant around his neck. Naruto looked down to marvel its beauty. Tsunade chose that moment to sneak a kiss on his forehead. "I'm proud of you, Naruto." Naruto grinned at her. "So now that the reunion is over, introduce yourself to class." "Oh, okay." He turned around to face his classmates for the first time. They got a good look on him. "Yo. My name's Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze Setsuna and this is Saya." He gestured to the fox on his shoulder. She raised a paw in greeting and promptly went back to sleep. Several squeals of cute from the female section was not enough to rouse her from her nap. The hem clearing his throat, Naruto continued. "My likes aren't it decided yet. My dislike has never thought about it. You guys are too young to hear my dreams. And hobbies, I have lots of hobbies. And I'm in your class, so please take care of me." All we got was his name. The class thought with a sweat drop. Sakura and Tsunade face plain shook their head and Hinata giggled. Sasuke for some reason sent a look of approval. Huh, that was new. Naruto gazed around to see his classmates and found some significant people worth noticing. One was a red-haired, green-eyed girl. She was a perfect female specimen, not as beautiful as Hinata but still close. Though he could feel she was nothing like Hinata. Her heart held darkness, deep-seated in her, one that he was sure was from her birth, more so he could feel that she had a strange energy in her and was more likely aware of it. Naruto did not know how someone could be so tainted, but his senses had never betrayed him ever. Next was a black-haired, black-eyed girl, who he swore was Sasuke's sister or something. Her resemblance to Auntie Mikoto was startling. Her feeling was the same as that of the red-haired girl, but with a tinge of something else. Other was a black-haired girl with a Heim cut, wearing red-rimmed glasses. Compared to the other two, she looked more normal, though her eyes held strategic intelligence seen in Chunins. Whatever those three were, Naruto did not care. He, however, did care for the safety of his precious people. His eyes changed instantly. The warm blue eyes that previously radiated warmth and friendliness instantly changed into icy chips that was so cold, people felt the temperature drop a few degrees. This was the mode which Sasuke had dubbed as Hokage mode. The supreme commander of Hidden Leaf. When Naruto was like that, even Sasuke hesitated to argue with him. Now, his voice had a tone of authority that demanded obedience. Since you all are my classmates, I want to make a few things clear. 1. Do not try to or hurt my precious people. 2. Do not ever, even try to think of perving on Hinata-chan. Follow these rules and I will be good. Choose to break them and I will end your existence. Just a fair warning. The word struck deep and had shaken up the students bad. They recognized threats when they saw one, but that was not a threat. It was a promise. Do not ever break those rules, ever, lest you wanted to earn his wrath. So now that we have an understanding, his tone did 180 degrees turn in the blink of an eye. Let's get on with the show. Tsunade's face had suddenly taken a turn. Where there was happiness and love now held annoyance. Naruto went up to sit beside Hinata as Tsunade sighed in exasperation. Naruto would always be Naruto, she thought in amusement of his antics. Smiling at the thought, she started her lecture. Ria's Gremory was many things, a high-class pure-blood devil, heir to the Gremory clan, sister of Satan Surzich's Lucifer, president of a cult research club, king to her peerage, a closet otaku, student of Kuo Academy, class 3B, and as of right now, scared. Scared of the new transfer student. Reason, the threat he issued just moments ago. No, not a threat, a promise. But that was not all. The main reason she was so scared was that she could not sense his presence at all. Every being, be it animals, humans, devils, angels, fallen or pure, monsters, yaokeis, spirits or gods, have a distinct presence. Even the Trihexa, the beast of apocalypse, had a presence. To not have any presence meant that he either did not exist or was powerful enough that the world could not handle his presence, in which case, their presence are transferred to higher planes. Those beings were termed as transcendents. Such beings' power exceeded even gods. Rias was sure that Naruto Uzumaki Namika Satsuna was a transcendent being. And being in same room with such a being was both awe-inspiring and terrifying to Rias. She glanced at her two companions and saw that they both were feeling indeed the same. Rias made a mental note to discuss this matter with her brother in the earnest. Such a matter could not be taken lightly. When recess came around, Naruto and the gang plus one fox found themselves in a secluded place between the tennis court and assembly hall. Naruto had made sure that no one was around when he spoke up. Okay guys. His voice held authority. Situation report. The three of them became attentive instantly, going from students to Jinins instantly. Okage-sama, we have found much. This world is a lot different from the ours. It had started as the same as ours though. There was said to be a god tree in this dimension too. Sasuke paused for a moment for Naruto to follow up. There are gods in this world, as in real gods, however they are divided and have formed several pantheons that have power of their followers. As the numbers of their followers increase, their powers increase proportionally. There are several pantheons, the biblical, the Greek, the Shintos, the Hindus, the Buddhist, Muslims, Jains and Hebrews are the major ones. Keep in mind that the Hebrew and biblical pantheons are closely related. There are said to be several others, but the stated were the main players. What about those three girls in our class? What pantheon they belong to? Which girls? Sasuke asked back. The red-haired one and her two neighbors. Ria's Gremory, Akeno Himejima and Sauna Shitori. They are currently suspected to be of the biblical or Christian pantheon, specifically the devil faction. Devil? Yes. The Christian faction is said to be divided into three factions. The angels are the pure beings free of sins. They are characterized by their pristine white wings. They are said to be the sword and shield of Yahweh, the god of Christian pantheon. There are several kinds of angels, the strongest of them being seraphs, who have greater or equal to 5 sets of wings. The angels are governed by Archangel Michael and his sister Gabriel, who are said to be the first and the third angels created respectively. Their residences in the Christian paradise. Next are the fallen angels. Those are either angels who have fallen from grace by giving into one of the 7 sins. Those sins being lust, greed, envy, wrath, sloth, gluttony and temptation. They are characterized by their black wings instead of pristine white of their counterpart. Their hierarchy is the same as that of angels. Their governor is Azazel, a 12-winged seraph, who was reported to have fallen due to his lust. His generals are Kakabiel, a 10-winged seraph and Barakiel, a 5-winged seraph, who also happens to be Akeno Himejima's father. Ah, so that explained why her power felt slightly different from others. But that also begged the question how she became a devil. Keeping those questions to himself, Naruto gestured Sasuke to continue. Then comes the devil faction. This faction consists of beings that are inherently dark, the complete opposite of angels. Their features being humanoid appearance with a pair of black bat wings. It is said that they were created by first fallen angel Lucifer Morningstar, who is believed to be the second angel created by Yahweh. Legends say Lucifer did not believe in bounds and was free-spirited and hence did not uphold the same morals as Yahweh. Hired by his incessant rebelling, Yahweh tried to force Morningstar to follow his ways, but Morningstar took offense to that and started a civil war in heaven. After that, Yahweh had banished him to hell, where he had started a new faction called the Devil Faction. They are weak to light-based attacks, holy light-based attacks, specifically. They thrive in sin and are inherently beings of those 7 dark emotions. There are many divisions between the social ranks of devils, along with the 72 pillars, out of which half of them were wiped out during the war, of which you will be briefed on later. They are currently ruled by 4 great satans, namely, Serzich's Lucifer. Formerly Gremory, elder brother of Ria's Gremory, Seraphol Leviathan. Formerly Citri, elder sister of Sona Citri, Ajuka Beelzebub. Formerly Astaroth and Falbium Asmodeus. Formerly Glacial Ebolas. They are the strongest of devil kin, along with Graphia Lucifuge, wife and maid of Serzich's Lucifer. Their profiles would delivered to you later. So that meant 2 of their girls were very important. Both Sun Citri and Ria's Gremory were heir to their respective clans and are also younger sisters of 2 of the 4 mass. That made the both of them essentially VIPs. The 3 factions are inherently against each other out of sheer dislike and/or hatred. They had been at a state of war for centuries. It had taken a great holy war and death of Yahweh for them to form a ceasefire. It is said that the original 4 Satans were to be killed in the great holy war. They seek to conquer Earth while slaying angels and fallen angels. One of the main reasons why half of the 72 pillars were wiped out. Naruto took a few seconds to digest the information. From what could glean, these factions' shidduch was ridiculous. The angel and the devil factions were understandable. Both were each other's, hence they are made to dislike each other through instinct. Even so, Naruto believed it was pointless to hate each other even by nature, instead try to work together for the progress of themselves. Continue. Naruto ordered. The devil faction had lost a lot of their population during the war. And since it is difficult for a devil to get pregnant, consequently reproduce, Ajuka Beelzebub devised a method by which anyone could be turned into a devil, provided their consent, or can be revived after death under a certain time limit. He created chess pieces for this process and are called the evil chess pieces. Every high-class devil received these pieces at a certain age. The more powerful the devil is, the stronger people they could revive. These devils they reincarnate serve under them as their servants. Those high-class devils are called kings, and her servants form their peerage. These devils serve their kings till they gain their own evil piece set when they are given high-class status. Even if the peerage system was created to repopulate Devilkin, they are also used compare strength of Thire Masters at events called rating games, where they are pitted against one another. Naruto's eyes hardened. That sounded exactly like slavery to Naruto. He was someone who promoted freedom and liberty. Hence, the peerage system literally pissed him off. Sasuke noticed the cold look on Naruto. And here is the real kicker. Naruto's attention snapped at him faster than he could blink. Some male high-class devils selectively create a female peerage as to form harems. They can even trade pieces with each other, though a simple process. Some male devils trade the female members of their peerage for another, just so they can have sex with them, even if it was without their consent. And just like that, Naruto's aura surged. Ground cracked and rubble floated as his chakra flared to extreme levels in rage. One of the many things that pissed Naruto were slavery and rape. Those 2 things was what Naruto detested with his very beings. But being a Hokage had given him a lot of exposure to such deeds. It had been difficult to handle such reports of evil deeds happening in his reign, but Naruto had managed to control his temper in such situations. The info on his potential ally or enemy was too important to be neglected in a fit of rage. Calming himself slightly, he reined his chakra under control, though the weight of it still remained in the air. Names? He demanded. Worst offenders are Diodora Astaroth, Zephyrdor Glacial Ebolas and Riser Phoenix. The latter is engaged in an arranged marriage with Ria's Gremory. Rias hates Riser with passion and is vehemently against this marriage. Naruto filed these names under his to-punish list in his head. The severity of their punishment would be decided by their crimes. Details. Diodora Astaroth, heir to Astaroth clan and younger brother of Ajuka Beelzebub, has been allegedly reported to lure innocent nuns into his traps and turn them into his slaves. He would pose as an injured devil and play on their kindness to help him. When they do, he would make sure that the church finds out of the deed and they are declared heretics before being banished. He would then take them under his wing and force himself on themselves repeatedly until they are a shell of their former selves. As soon as he had finished talking, Naruto's chakra pressure had flared once again. It was heavy enough to force even Sasuke on his knees. Besides him, Saya looked furious. Her back was arched and she was hissing and snarling at nothing. Hinata, even under the pressure of Naruto's chakra, had retained enough strength to look angry. Her Byakugan flared to life and the veins on her temples bulged. Sakura looked livid. She was forcing enough chakra that bit leaked out of her body with a yellowish sheen. Sasuke countered their chakra with his own and managed to stand up. They were snapped from their states when Tsunade came running when she had felt the force of their chakra from the staff quarters. What happened, Naruto? She questioned her surrogate son. Prime reports, Kacchan, he responded, his temper still high. Continue. Sasuke nodded and obeyed. Zephyr Glacial Ebolas and Riser Phoenix work in tandem with the same modus operandi. They would search for a target, human or yokai targets. When they find one, Zephyr would poison her family with a potent slow-acting poison which had no cure. Riser or Zephyr then play as a good guy and offer them a place on their peerage. In exchange they would heal their family. When they accepted, they would set the victim's family on fire to ensure that they do not go rogue. Since they would have no other support than their masters, the victims would then stay loyal to their masters in the fear of being kicked out. Most of their peerage members are collected in this manner. Naruto had to consciously control his chakra, lest he devastate school with the force of his chakra alone. Nidain could kill anyone with just surging his chakra for raising a finger. Naruto's was potent enough to destroy anything with its force alone. No action was required. Naruto had decided then and there that he would definitely beat the three of them personally. The world would be much better without their deeds. Deciding to move on to better topic, he asked Sasuke to tell more about Rias, Akeno and Sona. Rias Gremory, heiress of the Gremory clan, also known as the Crimson Ruin Princess. She is a pure-blooded high-class devil of Gremory clan, younger sister of Satan Surzich's Lucifer, and a closet otaku. Her peerage consists of her queen, Himejima Akeno, also known as the Thunder Queen. Yudo Kiba, her knight and Kaneko Tamujo, a rarer type of Nekomata Yokai called Nekashu. She is currently engaged to Riser Phoenix and has utter loathing for him. Personality-wise, she is a caring individual and utterly detests the way other devils treats their peerage as their slave. The Gremory believe in love and take care of their servants. Sasuke answered him. Sounds like a good person, despite the darkness I sensed in her. Naruto added after a moment of thinking. But then again, it seems that darkness is an inherent trait in all devils. What can you tell me about her peerage members? Her queen, Himejima Akeno, was formerly of Himejima clan. She is the daughter of deceased Himejima Shuri, a Shinto priestess and fallen angel Barakiel. Barakiel and Shuri had married in secret and was kept hidden from the rest of the clan members of Himejima clan, who were exorcists. At her age of 10, the clansmen found out that she was a half-breed of a fallen angel and a human. They seeked out her mother and her, killed her mother and chased her away. To earn food and money, she journeyed through Japan, performing exorcism for a year and a half. She mistakenly approached the territory of Heinrich Corneliu Agrippa, the bishop of Zeodicus Gremory, Ria's father, where she met Rias. Rias offered her the position of queen in her peerage which she accepted. She and Rias together are nicknamed the two great One-Sama of Kuohai. The rest of the details will be sent to you with complete psychological profile. Next is Yudo Kiba. Formerly called Isak, Kiba was the part of Holy Sword Project under Valper Galilee, also called the Genocide Archbishop. Kiba had been the part of the group of 23 children that went under the experiment. Sources say that when the experiment failed, Valper decided to cut his losses and gas the children in their beds. Kiba was the only survivor. He was found in the mountains of Europe by Rias Gremory in a half-dead state where she reincarnated him as her knight. He carries the sacred gear, Sword Birth, and had the ability to create weapons out of thin air. He had sworn revenge on Galilee and aims to destroy all the holy swords in existence. Personally, I feel pity for the guy. He is nicknamed the Prince of Kuo Academy for his looks and his mannerisms. This Kiba guy sounded like how Sasuke was before he changed. And he was determined to help him. Revenge was not a path anyone should take. Ever. It leaves one hollow inside. He hoped he could convince Kiba to see the truth. The next is Kaneko Taojo, formerly Shirin. She is currently in class 1. Her story is very similar to mine, so bear with me. Sasuke said despondently. Kaneko is a rare Nekomata Yokai species called Nekashu, who are known for their ability in Jujutsu and Senjutsu. Senjutsu? They can use Senjutsu? Yes. The Nekashu species are highly in tune with nature and can absorb natural energy to form Senjutsu, but it is totally different from our Sage mode. They mix Senjutsu and Yauki to create Taki, also called Fighting Spirit. They have the ability to cast illusions and use elemental attacks and poison with it. Their physical strength is also boosted in that state, but not as much as ours. When Kaneko was 8, her mother died and Kuroka, her elder sister, began taking care of her. Usually they would had to resort to petty thievery for food and clothing. Kuroka had joined the peerage of a high-class devil as a bishop for a better life for her and her sister, but things came out to be worse than expected. Her powers increased rapidly, so much that it enticed her king. He wanted to experiment on Kaneko and devise a way to use Senjutsu for his own use. Kuroka did not agree with him and killed him via Senjutsu and fled. They say that she got drunk on the power of Senjutsu, but that was a cover-up. The devils grew angry and afraid of Nekashu species as a whole, and they slaughtered every single man, woman and children of Nekashu tribe. Kuroka and Kaneko are the only survivor. Kaneko was in a trial for death sentence when Surziches interrupted the proceedings and took her under his wing. Later, Rias revived Kaneko as a took of her peerage. Sasuke could honestly sympathize with Kaneko. After all, he had gone though the same. His elder brother Itachi killed the whole Uchiha clan and he was the only one surviving. He knew the pain of being a survivor and the guilt that comes with it. Naruto looked despondent himself. That was too fucked up. Naruto had gone though those scenarios of being a survivor with Sasuke and Tsukiyomi, just know how it feels like. He did not like it. Though Naruto swore to himself, if there was one person he would help in his life, it would be Kuroka and Kaneko. I see. Naruto's voice was deceptively calm. And what of our guys? Who else are here? Sasuke, Sakura, Hinata and Tsunade looked over each other for a moment and nodded. Even if they wanted to keep it as a surprise for him, they could disobey a direct order. It would be disrespectful and treasonous. As you know, we four along with Shikamaru Nara, Chimjai Akimichi, Kiba Inyazuka, Ino Yamanaka, Shino Aburam, Niji Hyuga, Tenten, Sai, Rock Lee, the Sand Siblings, Yamino Ruka, Uchiha Itachi, Uchiha Shisui Kakashi Haddock, Maido Gai, Kurana Yuhi, and Asuma Sarutobi were the vehement in their demands to be involved. Other volunteers include Hiashi Hyuga, Hitomi Hyuga, Mikoto Uchiha, Fugaku Uchiha, Minato Namikaze, Kushina Uzumaki, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Jiraiya of the Sannin, Orochimaru of the Sannin, Tsunade of the Sannin, Kato Shizune, Hashirama Senju, Mito Uzumaki, Yamato of Mokuton, Taburama Senju, Akimichi Chouja, Shikaku Nara, Yamanaka Inoichi, Tsumin Yazuka, Hana Inyazuka, Hyuga Hizashi, Ichiraku Aim, Ichiraku Tuchi, Nagata Uzumaki, Konan, Yahiko, I.B., Zabuzumamachi, Hakuyuki. Hisam Hashigaki, Sasori of the Red Sand, Rasa of the Golden Sand, Anko Midarashi, the Priestess Shion, Mei Terumi, Sandame Reikijzi, Nidame Mizuki Jinjetsu Hazuki, Sujetsu Hazuki, Karen Uzumaki Teiya Uzumaki, Fuka Uzumaki, Morino Ibiki, Mizuki Jigura, Fu of the Nanabi, Sandame Chika Jinoki, Yandame Tsuchikage Kuritsuchi, Ao of the Byakugan, Rakudame Mizukage Chaojuro, Sakumo Haddock, Maido Dai, Yujito Nai, Udakata, Han, Rashi, Tamniri Otsutsuki, Abito Che. Izuna Uchiha and Madara Uchiha. Naruto thought about it. In one hand he was happy he could see his people again, even the ones he did not have the pleasure to meet. He was happy that his parents were alive and well, and his wife's and his friends' parents are alive as well. Some names did distress him, like those of Tamiri and Kisame, but if the accounts of any comrades that had been acquitted with Kisame before was to go by, the man was trustworthy enough. Hinari had changed since the beating he gave him on the moon and was utterly powerful. A very important asset and ally. It was surprising for him when he heard that Teiya was in Uzumaki. The member of the Sound 4 elite of Orochimaru. Though considering his family took every friend and clansman he had met were included, it was not surprising. His eyes snapped at Sasuke as soon as he said the name Madara. Did I just hear this correct? Did you just say Madara? Yes. Yes, I did. There is a valid explanation for this. Madara claims he has changed since his death and the Fourth Shinobi War. He said he had thought about his ways deeply and finally realized that he was in the wrong, and when given the option he decided to help us in our endeavor. I, too, was a bit skeptical at start, but that faded soon after. He proved to be loyal and dedicated to our cause, and now works as an instructor in our hidden village that we created shortly after arrival in this world. Hidden village? Naruto asked. Yes, a hidden village. Tsunade took over Sasuke. Shortly after Hashioji-san arrived this world, he decided to create a hidden village along with Madara Uchiha. A sort of new start, he stated. Plus we needed an army for our cause. As of right now, Oji-san is the acting Hokage, and Shikaku Nara is his advisor, and Sakumo Haddock is his general commander. New recruits are being supplied to the academy from human world. They are mostly orphans and are given a better life with employment. Chakra capacity was a problem, but not much that Orochimaru could not handle. An artificial chakra network was implanted with all the properties of natural ones. That meant they had a sizable army, elite army of 8 SSS ranked shinobis. And it was growing with introduction of new recruits. A sizable force of genins and chunins may be already present given the time they had. That was good. Very good. Acting Hokage? He asked. Why acting Hokage though? Yes, the acting Hokage. The village is waiting for her actual Hokage to return. Naruto looked bug-eyed at Tsunade. Why? Why oh why? He did not want to be Hokage now. He thought it would be a straight-up job of going in kicking ass and getting them to get straight the fuck up. He did not want it to be a Hokage of a fucking village again. He had become Hokage and was done with it. Oh, don't be like that, you big baby. Tsunade cooed him mockingly. Really, Tsunaka-chan? Really? Hey, it's not that bad of a job, you know. Naruto did not believe her for a second. This is revenge for convincing you to become a Hokage, isn't it? He questioned blithely, though the scathing undertone was not unnoticed. Tsunade's chuckle was his only answer. He rubbed his eyes tiredly. Alright. I will do it, but only until Boruto and Himawari come. After that, I am immediately passing the hat. I am not missing the childhood of my children just because of my job. Missing Boruto and Himawari's childhood because of his position was one of the biggest regrets of his life. He was not about to make the same mistake again. The promise of the sage had made sure that their children would also remain the same as they were. They will be Himawari and Boruto, of that he was sure. But who comes after them was a mystery. Anyhow, it was delightful to know that they can have another child now. Parenting happiness. Tsunade agreed. Anyways, we should move soon, the recess is about to end. Just a few more questions and we will be done, Tsunaka-chan. He turned towards Sasuke. Have you established contact with the three devils here? No. Our job was to keep an eye on them. They are currently hired Kuo temporarily. This place belongs to Shinto faction, so they have assigned us a mission to keep an eye on this place. What about the status report of our people? Your family and Hinata's family jointly owns the Satsuna Corps and is working as a fundraiser for the village. Uchiha family have found the duty of military police in the village. Yamanaka's own a flower boutique chain and has brought sizable income to our village. You will not believe how much people here are willing to pay for their flowers. And the Akimichis have started a restaurant chain and are one of the best in the world. The cages have been placed in the governing and advisory council for you and are currently supervising the construction of our village. You are given the title of Supreme Commander of our village. Shikamaru and the rest of the team are currently in a recon mission for the village and are gaining information around the world about various cultures and lifelefestlies. Sakura, Hinata and I were currently tasked to keep an eye on Kuo. We believe that it has become a nexus of any supernatural activity in the world. And is slow to help you adjust the new lifestyle in this place. Naruto nodded as he digested information. What work that had been done here was very much what he would have done. Any force of this world would think twice before taking any aggressive stance towards them. And considering their economic status, any nation would be hard-pressed to keep their financial status same if they aggressive towards them. Have we allied with anyone of this world? Naruto questioned. Yes, we have allied with Yasaka, the nine-tailed fox yokai of Kyoto. They primarily belong to Shinto faction. She also has close ties with the Shinto goddess Amaterasu, the goddess of sun. She rules over the yokai of Kyoto and has large influence over the yokai of Korea and other yakais of Asian descent. She has been a huge boon for us until now, helping us provide resource during the construction of our hidden village and is a main provider of missions for us. Most of them are D.C. ranks, though they are in very large quantity. Sasuke answered honestly. What about her personal background? Isaka is a peace-loving person and is generally a pacifist, however she would not hesitate to take a life if someone threatens her people or her daughter. She has a daughter named Kunu and it is said that she used to have a husband, but any details of his are missing. Her profile will also be sent to you along with others. You will receive the full profile of every god of every Pantheon, along with their personal details. You have your work cut out for tonight, Hokage-sama. Naruto rubbed his forehead to massage the was experiencing even by thinking about it. Anyways. Enough of work now. Invite my friends and their parents to my mansion tomorrow night for a dinner, would you? I personally want to see them after so long. Sasuke nodded and chose to ask one last question to his Hokage. What about the threat you issued in the class before? That. Naruto paused to grin at Sasuke. Was an invitation for those three devils to talk to us. If they even have half of the strategic intelligence I saw in them, they will first report this to their leaders and arrange a meeting between us. Naruto looked away to gaze in front of him. They can be potential ally or an enemy. Either way, a meeting between us would be beneficial on the long run, regardless the outcome. Sasuke smirked. Looks like Naruto had not changed even a bit. Phew. That was a damn long chapter. I have plans for Madara and Izuna, which you will see in later chapters, though their roles are pretty significant. Madara's power and potential was not something I could ignore, that is why he is in this story. Allies and enemies will be discussed in the later chapters. A lot of people question why Naruto did not sense Hinata. The answer is that he did sense her, but ignored her presence. He was already troubled with his emotions, so it was best if he had ignored Hinata then. Regardless, he would have met her one day. So it was for the best. Naruto's character here is not so impulsive that he would jump at any inkling of his wife's presence and quickly run for her, even though he missed her and was worried about her. He is a calm persona who deals with his problem with patience. And that is all for today. Don't forget to comment and review. Captain Krishna out. Chapter 4. Surzich's Lucifer fancied himself as a good guy. Considering everything that had happened, it would not be so far-fetched. He and his band of friends, namely, Seraphol Leviathan, Falbium Asmodeus and Ajuka Beelzebub, had defeated the previous 4 Satans in the last civil war in the underworld and had claimed the position of Lucifer for himself. He had power, prestige, the highest position one could gain in a devil society, a sister he adored, a family, a son and a hot wife to boot. So overall, Surzich's Lucifer had a very good life. He had worked in the peacemaking between the other factions so that his people would be safe. He had worked towards the development of devil society, both scientific and cultural, so that his kind could live comfortably. He had done so with the ambition of making devil society as civil as possible, unlike their previous state of living where warmongers were praised and peacemakers were called cowards. He had abolished the barbaric way of the contract with humans, making the dealing safer for both parties. He had even found a way to quell their thirst of battle with raiding games. So all in all, Surzich's was a good guy. That reason begs a very good question as to why he was biting his nails and pulling his hair in worry as he was inspecting the clearing where the strange energy originated a day ago. Well, because the very clearing was in Kuo outskirts. Kuo. As in where his little sister attended high school. So like any nice guy, he was worried for his little sister. Well, he was not exactly worried by the power surge or the place of origin of the said power surge, no, he was worried because the effects that the energy had left behind. The clearing was brimming with natural energy, so pure that the trees there had reached massive heights overnight. The affected area was clearly seen with its heighted canopy. Trees were normally not supposed to grow that much. Surzich's had seen skyscrapers of that size. He was not the only one worried though. Seraphol was worried was, as in past tense. Looking at the woman now, Surzich's found himself sweat-dropping exasperatedly. She was cuddling with a bear. As in a wild bear. Even though considering that they are super-powered devils and are much more stronger than a bear, that did not mean they would snuggle with them though. A few moments ago, Seraphol was serious. Surzich's had not seen Seraphol that serious since the Civil War. All it took was one unafraid bear in their presence, and she went from a leader of underworld to magical girl Leviathan. And that phenomenon was troubling in itself. Animals in that area were not afraid of them, at all. The presence of 3 alpha devils did not faze them, they did not even spare a glance. A fact that baffled and eluded him. It's as if they have someone to lean on, someone so great and powerful that even our presence and aura of ours does not faze them. Is the entity that caused the power surge were that powerful that even animals start to lean on them instinctively? Surzich's frowned as that thought crossed his mind. He was a Satan, one of the elites of the underworld, as such he knew how gods gain supports of humans. Heal a dying person here, a parlor trick there, and make a few lines for your holy book, and people will be lining up just to pray to you. That is the reason why the gods of all Panthenians choose to interact with humans. But to gain leaners in animals, wild at that, was as easy as making pigs fly and was not only unheard of, but would be rather stupid. Sure, some gods commanded over certain animal species, but because of the special alignment they hold towards the said animals. Animals work on instincts. And to affect their instincts to such a degree, the entity must have been stupidly powerful. Animals did not trust anyone instinctively. Pets, who have lived their half of their life in the presence of humans do, but wild animals were in a big no-no. Another thing that he found peculiar is the tone of the energy. Every type of energy has different characteristics. So have light tone, meaning the energy has relatively low power. To perform a task, much more energy is required. Devils, angels and fallen, yakes, demons have energy of this signature type. Some are heavy type, that means that the energy is moderately powerful and has stronger properties. Super devils, seraphs and some gods have this type of energy signature. Another is heavier type, means this type of energy has the ability to do much more even in small quantities. Those who possess the energy of this caliber are massively powerful. Yahweh, Shiva, Vishnu, Zeus, Anubis and some other gods have been reported to have this type of signature. This way, the feeling of heaviness of the energy signature with the increasing strength of the entity concerned. The more powerful the entity, the more heavier is the signature. And the signature of this type was never felt by Surzich's, ever. He had been in presence of Office, Great Red, Yahweh, Heavenly Dragons. Dragon Albion, even the heavy undertone of the energy was never this great. The only being who are above the Great Red and Opus are. Surzich's blanched. The presence of one of them was not a good thing. They could either bring destruction or peace. They were creatures of instincts and emotions, that meant if it wanted to destroy this world, it would. And they were powerful beyond anything. The last one of them was Trihixa, a being of rage and fury, one that was strong enough that even Yahweh had to fight tooth and nail just to seal that monster away. Even then Surzich's doubted that the monster was more powerful than this new entity. More than that, Surzich's was worried about his sister. He loved his sister dearly. Most would think that he was a cis-con pervert with less than acceptable love towards his sibling, but the truth was entirely different. If they would have bothered to look into his life, then they would have known the truth. Surziches had known war from a young age. He had seen bloodshed from the time where his hands should have been playing with toys instead of a training sword. His life was bleak. He had seen fathers and brothers sacrifice themselves for their mother, wives, daughters and sisters. He had seen his comrades die. Those men with whom he drinked and dined died pointlessly in a bleak conquest of conquering the world at the orders of Rizavum van Lucifer, the original Satan. He was groomed from a young age for becoming the ultimate tool for the Satans. Such a life would put damper in anyone's spirit. And then she came. Riaz. His beautiful little sister. She was the light of his dark world. Even Grafia, his wife, did not give him that comfort than holding his sister in his arms. He had been very enamored with his Riaz in her early childhood. Being with her gave a sense of peace and contentment he had never felt before. The way her tiny hands would clamp around his own fingers, the way she would gurgle happily in his presence, made his heart flutter in unknown happiness. Perhaps it was the feeling of having a sister. If that was so, then he wished that feeling would never go. He had sworn that his sister would not see the horrors of wars. He would shield her from every and any pain. The reason why he had fought tooth and nail against the Satans. And if he was correct, Serafol felt the same towards Sona. It was also the reason he babied little sister so much. He showered her with so much affection in a simple hope of having them returned. When Riaz was young, she always returned his affection with either a hug or a sloppy kiss on his cheek. And then she grew up. Every time Riaz would shrug off his affections hurt him. He never expressed his pain before, but he did feel his heart break a little every time. Grafia was aware of this fact and would always stop him from showing his love for Riaz in public, simply so that he would not be hurt for the blatant disregard of his love by reprimand for etiquette. Nevertheless, Surziches never stopped. Perhaps it was empty hope of having those affections returned once again, but he never gave up. Just the thought of his little sister in presence of threat as great as a primordial made his stomach twist. Regardless of how Riaz acted towards him, he still loved his sister. Disregarding the distant call of wait. From Leviathan and Asmodeus, he created a transportation circle. Kuo was not safe for Riaz now. Not until he got to the heart of the matter. Nevertheless, he needed to check on her immediately. Serafol and Falbium looked baffled for a moment before they narrowed their eyes. He must have been onto something, hence the prompt disappearing. They knew exactly where he was going. Creating the transportation circle of their own, they too vanished. Naruto followed Sasuke along the hallways of the school. He had taken personal task of orienting Naruto to the various clubs of the school. Hinata had still refused to leave his side and Saya had taken his shoulder again. Sasuke took the lead with him and Hinata following closely behind. Sakura had to tend to helping Shizune, who was working as a nurse in school infirmary. They reached a dojo where, he could see, were various students dressed up in armor and armed with kendo sticks. Which Sasuke informed him was the kendo club. Naruto hummed. Entering the clubroom silently, he still could not deter the others from taking notice of him. Most began murmuring about him, regarding his strange behavior. He could imagine. Of course, when a known student suddenly gets a very beautiful girl jumped in his arms out of the blue, and he then introduces himself to the students who already knew him would ring the bells of any idiot. Regardless, he took it in stride and ignored most. Sasuke followed him silently, wondering what was in his Hokage's mind. Nevertheless, he did not raise his question. Naruto looked around the students, female students that were practicing kendo katas, and almost snorted in disgust. He had hoped that the name kendo swordsmanship would at least carry some weight and he would get at least some challenge for his kenjutsu from anyone in the room, Sasuke excluded. His kenjutsu was at another level entirely. He treated kenjutsu as an art form. The dance of blade was as sacred as it was coveted. Many of the great names in swordsmanship had respected the art enough to dedicate their entire life on mastering the art. Naruto may not have given his entire life in its study, but still he respected the art at its highest. He was more of a versatile weapons user, but the greatness of kenjutsu did never elude him. Sasuke Uchiha, Hashirama Senju, Yuzuki Yugao, Jeku Hade, Samui, Killer Bee and Kushina Uzumaki were some of the most famous swordsmen of his land. Seeing the mere mockery of the swordsmanship happening in the room nearly made him rage. Have understood that these children knew nothing about battles and warfare, that they are living in peacetime. In this age of guns and technology, swordsmanship was an obsolete and outdated skill in battlefield and that it was only viable to use it in sports, but doing so was an insult to their ancestors who had mastered the art. Those who gave their blood, sweat and tears to master the art of swordsmanship. Those who defended their wives, children and their lands in with nothing but a blade. The perversion of samurai swordsmanship called kendo was a personal insult to him and those who he respected as a swordsman. Considering this mother was one of those masters, it was offending him deeply. He needed to show them the true art of swordsmanship even though he was not a master. Still, Naruto wished to measure himself against somebody. Naruto was just not satisfied with creating swords, he was proficient in using one too. What can't boredom do someone? It could even make someone who was too disinterested in even writing a word to a publishing author. Anyway, getting out of the subject now. Untangling himself from Hinata, Naruto went forward and gently picked up a stray Bakken and looked at it with a critical eye, judging its quality and strength. He ran his fingers on its edge briefly before nodding. The Bakken's quality was not up to par with what Naruto wished, but still it would get the job done. He grinned lopsidedly before turning to Sasuke. "Oi, Sasuke, wanna spar?" He called out loud for everyone to hear. Most of the people perked up. During the whole tenure that Naruto Satsuna had attended Kuogaken, he had never displayed any interest toward swordsmanship or kendo. As a result, many of the club members stared at him curiously, trying to figure out his game. Anyhow, they figured it would at least show what he was capable of. Sasuke grinned. Naruto had pulled the thought straight out of his head. He was itching for a fight anyways. "Sure, but don't complain when I kick your ass," he replied, smirking cockily. Shedding his overcoat and blazers along with Saya, Naruto grinned back. Picking up another stray Bakken, Sasuke took his normal sword stance. The Bakken was held in reverse grip, positioned at the back of his right hip. His one visible eye was resting solely upon his opponent. Naruto, on the other hand, held his Bakken in a forward grip, above his shoulder. His weight was shifted on his left leg. Most would consider this as a hole in his stance, but Sasuke knew better. Naruto may look vulnerable on the first glance, but he knew that making this assumption would be his downfall. And then they ran. Meeting halfway on a dead sprint, both clashed hard. Not enough to produce large shockwaves, but enough to make the audience cringe. That sort of clash would put immense backlash on the hands, painful backlash. The force was large enough to make the friction between them to make the wood smoke. They both jumped back, gaining distance. Shortly, they charged again, this time in a series of clashes. The sound of wood smacking wood echoed throughout the school, and soon, a large crowd had gathered nearby to see the action. The students were in awe at the dance of wooden blades performed before them. Sasuke slashed downwards in a right arc, which was expertly parried by Naruto, who responded with another slash of his own. Sasuke showed his expertise with the blade and blocked it. After a moment of deadlock, both separated again. Naruto lashed out with a sweep kick in response to a decapitation strike. Sasuke jumped up to dodge, but Naruto was prepared. He brought his word up in an arc and slashed hard. Sasuke again used his Bakken to block, but being in mid-air proved to be his disadvantage. The force of his strike sent him flying away. Showing his flexibility and grace, Sasuke promptly flipped back on his feet before skidding to a halt. He did not get the time to breathe though, Naruto was already onto him. He parried a stab from Naruto before jumping back. That stab was aimed directly at his ribs. His shirt though, was not so fortunate. There was a large tear in the fabric that extended from his chest to his hips. Naruto attacked again, putting him on the defense once more. The jaws of the students dropped in shock and awe at the skills of the two. Murayama and Katz, two of the best kendo players in Kuo Academy, were watching in shock as the two boys duked out slash after slash at each other. These two were in a whole another league. Murayama, who belonged to a clan of samurai swordsmen who also performed exorcism, traditional Shinto exorcism, knew when she sees someone who was a good swordsman. She had been practicing swordsmanship since she was a child. She knew how hard one had to work to master just the basics of swordsmanship. To see the two of them fighting at such a level, it was utterly unbelievable for her. Her shock was great enough that she did not even notice Yudo Kiba, who was supposed to summon the two dueling boys to the orc, besides her, gaping at the ongoing spar. Naruto hastily parried a stab from Sasuke's Bakken. The match had taken a twist. A little short while ago, Naruto was on the offensive, but that changed quickly. Sasuke, showing excellent footwork, had entered Naruto's guard and jabbed his Bakken right through the shirt near his right armpit. The result? A vicious tear in his shirt that split the entire right side of his shirt. Blocking another strike, he jumped back to take a breather. He slashed his sword in the empty air before resuming his stance. This time, Sasuke was the one to attack. Naruto parried a hasty slash. The force of the blow separated them a few feet away. Both of them took this opportunity to stab each other in the neck. Fortunately, they missed by just a flick of their necks. Their collars were not so fortunate. Both of their Bakkens pierced their collars. The only way left was to move forward, so they did. A vicious tearing sound later, both found each other's shirt hanging on their swords and their half-naked body on full display. Not least bothered by the state of their dress, the two continued to trade blows after blows. Slash. parry. Stab. Stab. Block. Parry. The two continued till they reached the epic climax of any spar, the last face-off. Both were staring at each other intently, waiting for that slight twitch that spelled of an impending attack of their opponent. Beads of perspiration decorated their foreheads like clear crystals of diamonds. A drop of sweat silently snaked its way from Naruto's chin and dripped down on the floor. As the drop hit the floor, both disappeared, to the onlookers anyways. For them, it was not even close to their maximum speed. Both collided midway, but this time, they traded a series of slashes, parries and dodges. Finding a minute opening, Naruto took it immediately and budged his shoulder on Sasuke's chest. In response, Sasuke grabbed Naruto's arm before hooking on it and tried to run around Naruto. Unfortunately for him, Naruto saw the tactic and did the same to negate it, which resulted in both trying to get around each other, turning the whole fest into a merry-go-round. Naruto suddenly unhooked his arm, resulting in both of them flying away at a tangent. Sasuke rolled for a few seconds before stopping in a crouch. Naruto in turn skidded to halt, assuming the same crouched position. Both were staring at each other with a grin. Regardless of what saw, they were happy. Others may have seen the vicious fighting spree with an intent to harm, but for them, it was just a light workout and fun. And they were enjoying it. Let's end this, both thought in unison, before they charged. Naruto skidded low and turned, trying to perform an upper slash on Sasuke. Unfortunately, Sasuke was faster and turned around just in time and retaliated with a very strong downward slash. With a loud crack, Naruto's Bakken shattered in the middle, its upper portion dropped on the ground with a wooden thud. The Kusari of Sasuke's Bakken was directly under the blonde's chin. Naruto raised his hand in surrender. I concede. The battle was over. It was the expected outcome, Naruto decided. He may have been adept in using a blade, but Sasuke was the master of it. He had been training from his teen years in using a blade and had mastered it completely. Even though it seemed that Naruto was keeping well up with Sasuke, he knew that he would lose. The flow of the battle was controlled by Sasuke for the entire time of the duel. Sasuke could have ended it in his first attack. Instead, he chose to go on a defense first, probably so as to give him a chance. Every time Naruto landed a hit, it was always returned back. Those attacks that targeted his body or were painful were always parried or blocked. Sasuke never took a hit, and so did Naruto. But the fact still remained that Sasuke had the upper hand. Similarly, Naruto walked towards him before he gave his hand forward with his ring and his middle finger extended. The sign of reconciliation. It was a good fight. Seems like you haven't rusted a bit. Sasuke smirked back and extended his own sign of reconciliation. You did not tell me that you learned how to use a blade. Heh. Lots of free time. Besides, I was bored. Had to do something. HN. Sasuke replied before wrapping his extended fingers around Naruto's. They tossed the Bakken away. Hinata smiled at them exasperatedly. Even old age and a new life had not diminished her husband's veracity in the slightest. Naruto replied with a bright smile, seeing her exasperation. The trio chattered their way, seemingly forgetting about the throes of girls fainted on the floor. Nor did they notice the gaping mass of conscious students or the Bakken that they used, disintegrating into sawdust. Rias paced back and forth frantically in her clubroom. Akeno had a worried expression on her face. Besides her, Sona looked calm and collected, but after being with her for a long time, Tsubaki knew her king too was equally troubled. The peerage of Rias and Sona were gathered in the occult research club. Their peerage watched them with worry. They had never seen Rias and Sona distressed in forever. Tsubaki wondered what the hell was wrong with them. Tsubaki had been in the library when Ryakusaka had came running to her, saying that Kaicho had called a meeting in the occult research club. That was odd thing in itself. Normally, when the arranged meetings were called, it was usually in the student council chambers and they were given a prior notice for it. For the meeting to take place in occult research club so sudden meant that it was about something which should remain unheard from prying ears. She hurried herself to the old school building which was converted into clubhouse for the occult research club. First thing she noticed was that every member of respective peerages were present barring Kiba. She wondered where he was. She had been disappointed about the absence of her crush, but she shook away those thoughts. Now was not the time for it. Pacing here won't amount to anything, Rias. It will only make our peerage more nervous. Sona called out calmly to the red-haired devil. I know, Sona. Ria's voice was strained and tinged with distress. I know, but I can't help but be worried. This matter is something itself to be worried. Rias had been worried since Naruto first appeared in her class. At first, she thought he was a normal person with a penchant for showing off. Rias knew about the Satsuna air. After all, any high-class devil worth their status would have knowledge about anyone living in their territory, especially if they belonged to a known human organization. Reports had described Naruto as a spoilt heir who was given too much too early without proper guidance. His parents, Setsuna Minato and Setsuna Kushina, were mostly absent from his life. It made him grow bitter and resented towards them. He also was a known playboy and a womanizer. He had no existing relationships and was generally about one-night stands and extravagant parties. He had no knowledge about supernatural, nor he housed any sacred gear. Nothing in him was worth noticing for Rias. They were dead wrong. What she saw this morning was entirely different. Naruto was a flashy person, but other than that, there was no other similarities between his original character and the reported character. He was in love with Hinata Hyuga and was Sasuke Chiwakiri's and Sakura Haruno's best friend. Tsunade Senju was his godmother. Worse than that, he was a transcendent. It was a fact that plagued Ria's mind ever since she came to know about it, and it was eating her out. Sona looked at the pacing form of Rias and sighed to herself. This matter was not something that was supposed to be handled by themselves. By everything unholy, it was supposed to be handled by their elder siblings. Sona was amongst the first to know that Naruto was a transcendent. She also knew how powerful those beings were. Comparing them to Satans and gods would be like comparing a calm pond to a raging sea. There was simply no contest. And Rias had to go scratch the tiger through Kiba. She had just sent Kiba to fetch Naruto and his group for an impromptu meeting. She had also called for a joint meeting of both their peerages, despite Sona's protests. Even though she reluctantly agreed, Sona was rather satisfied with Ria's call. Now at least she would be spared from calling a meeting with that monster. If May asked, what is this meeting about, Kaicho? Her queen's voice cut her out of her musings. Naruto Setsuna.she answered tiredly. This whole ordeal was tiring for her. She would have rather fixed this meeting at a later date, preferably in the company of their elder siblings, but she would take what she could get now. Procrastinating this matter further may cause tensions between her and Rias which she did not want. Especially in the face of this issue. The new boy? I have heard that he is a rather spoiled child. And he is nothing special besides being rich. Tsubaki replied back. That's because you did not see him in our class. Rias butted in. His aura alone, or lack of it, put the fear of God out in my heart. He may seem like an ordinary person, but trust me, he is much more. He is a transcendent. And the bomb dropped. Both their peerage's mouth opened in shock, except Akeno's. She just shuddered remembering something. Transcendent, that term was not taken usually or lightly in any matter. What? Tsubaki questioned lowly. Yes, Tsubaki. What indeed? Sona replied. This matter is not something we should poke around. Finally getting the crux of the matter, Tsubaki responded. By everything unholy, it should be handled by the Satans. I know, but it's something we cannot ignore. Either way, it is a matter of our territory and as such it is our duty to see to it. Sona replied, seriously. You did not see him in class, Tsubaki. For the first time, Akeno spoke up, her voice was terrified beyond reason. Those eyes. Those chilling eyes. She continued babbling incoherently. The rest, who did not know what exactly a transcendent was, looked at her in shock, wondering about what could have scared someone as the Thunder Queen so badly. Everyone who knew Akeno also knew that she was not someone who feared something easily. She was brave, courageous, confident, seductive, strong, a little sadistic, and had a jealous streak a mile wide. She was someone who kept her calm on any situations no matter how dangerous. She was a pillar who kept Ria's peerage floating when her king was down. Scaring her was not an easy feat. Seeing her blithering in fear scared her more than she could describe. She was sure that others were scared as well. Looking aside, she saw Kaneko furiously munching on cookies. An obvious sign of distress from the young rook. Tsubaki gulped in nervousness. The fear was palpable. The way he delivered that threat. No, it cannot be called a threat. It was a promise. A promise that will come to pass should anyone that cross him. Ria said shakily. Even remembering that event gave her shivers. And he looked right at us. He looked right at us as if he knew who we are and what we can do, Tsubaki. He is more scarier than anyone I have ever seen. Oh, I am not that scary, am I? And Akeno, I think my eyes are pretty attractive, not scary. Rias, Sona and Akeno paled at that voice. Everyone jumped and their heads snapped at their direction. Naruto and his friends were just standing just beside the door. She had not even registered them entering. Hell, she did not even hear the door opening. Really, Rias, you don't have to fear little Almi so much. It would be bad for your health. Naruto replied, grinning mischievously. Besides him were giggling Hinata and Sakura. Sasuke just looked plain annoyed. Kiba was right behind them, having an expression between strangulation, apoplexy and constipation. How long have you all been there? Rias squeaked, pale and scared for her life. Sona sat ramrod straight and Akeno. Akeno looked like she wanted to be anywhere else but here. Long enough to know how much you are scared of me. Naruto replied, amused. Sorry though, it was not my intention to scare you so much. He added sheepishly. Riaz would have believed him if she was not scared out of her wits by this man. For all she knew, it could have been a lie to get her guard down. Please take a seat. Riaz offered, immediately slipping into her king mode. The guests thanked her and took a seat beside Kaneko, who was still nibbling on her treats. She watched Naruto pointedly as if he would bite her. Naruto just replied her with a charming smile. With warm blue eyes that looked at her with genuine happiness at meeting her, that slight quirk of his lips and those whisker marks, Kaneko genuinely found him very appealing. She looked away. If anyone had paid attention, they would have noticed a small blush of her cheeks. Hinata sat right beside Naruto and promptly put her head on his shoulders and skished his arm tightly into her bust. Sasuke took the seat beside Naruto and Sakura besides him. Sakura imitated Hinata perfectly by doing the same thing. Sasuke's cheeks reddened just a bit. Riaz and Sona took their seats right in front of them. Sona took the lone one-seater and Riaz took her chair behind the desk. Naruto looked at Akeno who was still terrified at being in proximity of him. He squinted his eyes and observed her closely. Akeno visibly fidgeted under his scrutinizing look. After gazing at her one last time, he nudged Sasuke on his arm. Hey Sasuke, are you sure she's not your long-lost sister or something? Naruto questioned him. Sasuke looked at him, wondering what the hell was he on about before he followed Naruto's line of sight that is. No replied after a minute of consideration. Heh. Naruto snorted. If I did not know any better, I'd have said that your parents kept her a secret from you. That open statement caused a few blank looks being directed towards him. Sasuke closed his eyes before giving a lopsided smile. Yeah. I'd think that too. Naruto sniggered for a moment. Excuse me. But can we know what are you guys talking about? Riaz felt pretty stupid asking in a manner that would be considered a demand to a transcendent. Though she was too curious to know that it took over her caution. Then again, Naruto seemed pretty nice to take offense of it. He won't take offense of it, probably, hopefully. Well, Akeno here. Akeno tensed. Looks just like Sasuke's mom, you know. So we were just wondering, Naruto replied sheepishly. Riaz raised an eyebrow at the odd and blunt statement. Nonetheless, she was amused. And you were wondering if she was his long-lost sister or not. Bara. Is it true, Sasuke-kun? Akeno asked bemusedly, getting over her fear for the moment. Exactly it is. Hold on a moment, let me show you. Naruto replied excitedly. He wordlessly created a shadow clone before grinning. If anyone was surprised by the exact copy of the person sitting in front of them, they kept it to themselves. The clone created a half-ram hand seal and was promptly covered by smoke. When the smoke cleared, their jaws dropped. Before them was a lady that could be considered one of the most beautiful lady they had ever seen. Long luscious black hair that flowed down to her back, a round face, flawless pale skin and inky black eyes. She had a black blouse with a black skirt that went down to her ankles. Her lips were curved into a motherly smile. She had a warm welcoming aura too around her that looked very inviting to everyone. Everyone looked closely to the woman before them and slowly craned their necks towards Akeno, who was looking at the woman in apoplexy and surprise. She really looked like her. See, that's Sasuke's mother. Mikoto Uchiha. Uchiha. I thought your name was Ichiwakiri Sasuke. Sona questioned. Naruto looked towards Sasuke with a dry gaze. Really, Ichiwakiri, Sasuke, you chose that name for yourself. Hey, don't judge. At least it's better than Satsuna. Sasuke replied coolly to the jab on his name. You do know that Satsuna means in an instant, don't you? Naruto ribbed. Yeah, I do. Ichiwakiri still sound good. You do know that my dad is the Yellow Flash. Sasuke took a moment to contemplate what he heard. Well, shit. He grunted out, annoyed. Naruto too enjoyed giving his best friend a smug grin. Take that bastard. Anyways, we're getting off the topic. He turned to Riaz before asking. So what you want to talk about? Riaz thought for a moment before asking. There were many things she wanted to ask, so many questions that she did not know where to start. How did you make that clone and how did you turn into someone like that? I'm awesome. He grinned. Riaz felt some heat rising to her head in slight anger at the casual dismissal of her question and his ability to give vague, practically obscure answer. Choosing to keep her rattled nerves calm, she took a deep breath before asking. What are you? That blunt question threw Naruto for a loop. What? Excuse me, what? I asked what you were. If I am right then you already know that we are devils. But we don't know what you all are. So tell me what are you? That was dangerously bold of Riaz to ask a person of such power, but to her, Naruto looked like someone who would goof off on the most serious of occasions. She assumed he would not take offense of it. Well, we are humans. She looked smug for being right and looked stumped at the same time. Human. He was a human. I don't believe that for a second. She replied. Riaz is correct. It is very hard to believe that a human could have such power, nevertheless one such as young as you all. Sona added her own input. The rest of the devils nodded in affirmative. Naruto looked at them before looking at Sasuke. Really? You don't believe we are human just because we are powerful? I did not know that the devils were so arrogant to think that anything other than supernatural could have such power. Sasuke replied succinctly. We are human whether you believe it or not, Rias. Granted, we are more powerful than regular humans. For example, Sakura here could punch a mountain to rubble. Hinata could probably just render any person a vegetable. Sasuke could probably destroy a planet. We are powerful, Rias, but we are humans. The devils looked very apoplexed at the thought. Since when did humans began to get so powerful? It was not unheard of though. There were many humans who have reached the level of gods. Gautama Buddha, for example, was ascended to the level of God through his own spiritual growth. There have been many other examples. King Solomon, King Arthur, and many other humans have ascended to a level so powerful that they could rival gods and satans. However, there have been no record of humans who have recently transcended, nor are there any reports of humans on the path of transcendence. This may be bad for them, very bad. Especially if they are anti-devils. She must inform this to her brother. Speaking of. The bright red glow erupted in the middle of the room with the official hologram of Lucifer. What if post 4th War Naruto Highschool DxD, and thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.